I honestly thought this was an old video, but it says 1 day ago it's been uploaded. I distinctly remember having the similar sentiment expressed by Riot August. Now, I don't know if he got asked again, and then He Who Quacks uploaded, because this guy always uploads August response generally on these matters. Event kind of viral. Oh, 1.5k. Yeah, event kind of viral on Reddit, and it's been on Twitter as well. So it's basically everywhere. Let's listen to this.
Changes the forfeit system. It feels bad having new Beth and people.
There we go.
Changes the forfeit system. It feels bad having new Beth and people just FF. Well, I'm sympathetic to Azzapp and the never forfeit mentality. One thing that we found when we looked at forfeits is players generally know when they're going to lose.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean that like, oh, some games that are forfeited you couldn't come back from. That's like 100% true, of course. But like what we do is like we have a metrics for like being like, hey, if there's this gold lead at this time, what is the % chance that team will win? And what we find is that when players elect to forfeit, the gold leads at those.
Yeah, the gold lead thing, this is like a very, very old sentiment. This has also been stated by Freak when they showed metric. I do think the metrics are flawed, but bear with me.
Represents very, very high likelihoods of their teams losing. Again, though, depends on the game. If you have a Bel'Veth in your game, you probably shouldn't forfeit. She's going to scale, right? But just kind of noting that like players generally are correct when they want to forfeit. And so then it's like, well, then what's the point of forfeiting? Like, why are we letting people forfeit?
I like how he thinks about Bel'Veth, bless him. Right? There are people who pick stuff like Kale, die level 1, and they're like, FF, Kassadin, die level 1, FF. It's not even about the Bel'Veth.
If players don't want to be in a game, and they generally are correct that they're going to lose that game, it is respectful for their,
nice
to their
shot,
time
though.
to let them leave it. If you know it's 4 out of 5, right?
Some good VelKoz gaming.
Like you can't get a forfeit with 3 out of 2, you have to do 4 out of 5.
So yeah, that's what August stated. This is like couple of years after I've made my initial argument on this. So I don't even necessarily feel compelled to make an argument against this, because I feel like the community, they started getting good at argumentation for this. And they actually provide very, very good counter arguments immediately. Most people want FF start throwing the match to make a self-fulfilling prophecy. 2.4 thousand likes. That's just immediately like the most liked comment, and it's the most obvious thing to understand. And you felt this, like, think about the times your teammates are begging for an FF. In order for FF to go through, like, imagine you went through like 1 or 2 failed votes. People are then twisting the arm, they're manipulating, they're soft hinting. Literally yesterday, or like the last stream I did on League, our Hecarim was tilted and even just top lane to end the game sooner because we pressed no on an FF vote. Because he deemed the game unwinnable, thus the game has to be unwinnable for him to be correct. And sure, it may be right in like 95% of cases, but everybody said no, and he decided to turn it into 100%. And that's very often what happens. The mathematics of this are extremely skewed due to the fact that people want to be right and people want to be left out. People want to leave the game when they want to leave the game. I understand the argument that, okay, you don't want to be trapped, so let's, if everybody agrees, or like 4-1 at least, large majority, then we're gonna let people cancel and terminate the game if you don't want to be in a deeply unfair match. I don't think there is such a thing as a deeply unfair match nowadays. I think that categorically doesn't exist anymore with the advent of Remake and early FF on the 4v5s and reduced or like completely lost negated on the 4v5. There's no such thing. Like, you're generally matched with the people around your elo. You're playing 5v5. If a game is so doomed that it's unplayable, sure enough, it's going to end within the next 2 to 3 minutes. If it does not, then it's not that dire in the first place. And that's just the equation that keeps kicking itself down the road, and it just keeps happening like that. So it's been posted on the track diff. Here's also like a different angle of, like, again, intelligent argumentation. The pop-up showing every time someone goes bad, no matter the scoreline, is very mentally draining. They have data about when the game is effectively lost, about only letting you start a vote if these conditions are met. See, now he's like calling the bluff out, because I do believe this is actually a bluff. This is like pretending that Riot has complete knowledge of when the games are over and when the games are surrendered, but those are instructed by the poisoned well in a way. The data is corrupted because the people are tainting the data, so they don't actually know what is truly a winnable game or not. It's just they're going it off of like the players' mentalities, and when mentality is shattered. So yeah, but it also brings a good point. Like, it should be a check mark. It should be a check mark in the tab screen, like, or even a escape. We don't want it to be like just there bothering you, you know, just be there to like this emotional lever to pull when you're tilted. Because like 90% of surrender votes are completely emotional, right? Let's see, we got some more arguments here. As I never FF, I'll probably lose 30% more games if I click yes. People making the argument that FFing is always bad because mathematically always gain win rate by not doing so is flawed. Will you win rate be higher after a hostage for 30 minutes unwinnable game? I mean, this guy's... I should have known what kind of... I mean, it's still Twitter. This is Twitter, okay? Twitter is a little bit... We do have a couple of like L9 guys with black and white profiles. There's no way this data isn't biased by the very fact that FF exists and makes people check out when they are behind, when they're just waiting to make the FF vote. This is basically a summary of my original argument that you cannot summon up correct data from the world that already has FF embedded. So like the FF existence in and of itself is tainting the data about the surrendering because people will want to end quicker. And I remember this, like I remember when the FF was 20. I don't know if people do remember, but when the surrender was 20 minutes instead of 15, it was different. Because people wouldn't be running it down that early. People will be running it down a bit later because they want to start running it a couple of minutes before the FF, so they can prime their targets into surrendering at the mark. So by pushing it to 15, you've created an earlier window of tilting and running down your teammates. So if people are tilted by the minute 10, they're like, okay, it's right on time to start running it down and kind of preparing my teammates for a soft, easy way out. So at about minute 11, they start running and then it's like, okay, let's FF this shit. So people, by the time minute 15 rolls around the corner, they're like, yeah, let's get out of here. This guy, it's unplayable with this guy. But like, you can't even argue with those people because if you say something like, well, we can just win if you play, and he's like, I can't win with you guys. You guys are so bad, you're making this unwinnable, so I'm gonna lose it on purpose. So we have Reddit as well. Let's see the Reddit argumentation. What the people community thinks. Yeah, because as soon as someone decides time to FF, they stop trying or even soft into game. Very, very rational reasoning. This is an interesting counter argument. This is something that I don't see very often. I mean, player behavior is part of the game, right? If the player's trying to stop after FF failed, that's part of the game. Okay, so this brings up a more philosophical question. Can the game design impact players' behavior? Can it impact the players' philosophy around the game? And that I would for sure say yes, because systems shape how we operate. So provided you move the surrender vote slightly later, this gets completely removed in early game or get pushed down the later. Like, for example, now if you entirely cold turkey just remove the surrender vote, after people readjust in a couple of month period, like the player soft inting rates are gonna just plummet because there's no reason to soft int. You will not be let out, so might as well try and have fun. Not to say there will obviously be exceptions here and there, but like the numbers will be tremendously lower. Generally, if 4 out of 5 players don't want to play game, it's over. The rare case is one player is smurfing or super fed. Okay, this is what, 15. What's crazy to me is the thought that 3 out of 5 players think that the game is over from a single lost team fight. So now it's like counter argument saying that, yeah, people like that surrender vote is emotional. And the 4 out of 5 is kind of all right. I don't like that it's a little bit early at 15. I would prefer it to be unanimous at 15 and 4 out of 5 at 20 and above. Just to give you that game shifting mid-game phase where a lot of games get turned around, but people don't understand for what reasons they can and will turn around mid-game. It's just a little bit too complex of an environment for like 95%, 99% of league player base, and they just operate under like skewed understanding of the game. Like enemy is like 4-0, right? Enemy Fiora is 4-0. But if you have completely neutralizing side lanes, then she cannot really penetrate the base, but you're winning the team fight, for example. And they will tilt because Fiora is ahead, and then start going into Fiora 1-by-1 and whatever, and trolling. And Fiora wins the game, even though you have a way to stop her, for example. Something like Malphite that can defend the entirety of the time, while you're just going to win team fights on the other side. What I'm trying to say is that people lack understanding, and surrendering tends to be emotional more often than not. I mean, this can be statistically true, but it doesn't take into account that people stop playing properly when their attempt to FF is denied, kind of like self-fulfilling prophecy. Again, the same exact thing. This government is always going to be lose-lose. They're going to have the never FF mentality because anything can happen crowd, which it's kind of where reality falls along these lines. I would say, obviously I'm biased, but like I'm not biased because I am paid by the Never FF agency. It's just that I truly do believe that's the objective reality we're facing with, thus I inform my decision making. You're going to have those who would rather not slog for a win and roll into the next one to preserve mental. I never understood this argument. And you're going to have the people who are trying to get the most bang for their limited playtime. This is, again, I never understood this argument, because if you only enjoy a very small subset of the games that you're playing, maybe League of Legends is not for you. Your time is best spent doing something else and playing a game that will give you a better percent ratio of having fun. This is not what real gamblers are. Real gamblers are addicted to the journey. They pull the fucking lever on that stupid machine because they're expecting to win, not that they want to win all the time. If they were only playing when they want to win all the time, we'd have no gamblers. It's a perverse way to to turn around the argument, but no matter what, someone is gatekeeping one of these groups. So you're trying to strike the balance between actually having a healthy player base that wants to play the game, but also provide a way out. If you want to optimize for that, again, like, there's no reason Riot shouldn't use the proposed changes I've made a couple of years back, which is non-emotional checkmark on the tab, anonymous checkmark, so people can just tick it when it's there. The timer will start. It's like, well, the game will be FF'd in that time, you know, and like, so that way it's actually a more rational decision. And you could also look to optimize for early game, make the early game a bit more sacred ground, not tainted ground where like First Blood leads to people running it down. So make sure like at 15 it's like unanimous. I think that's also a good thing, especially because nowadays the game is playable. It lasts longer than it was prior to durability patches and such. So yeah, I've used both FF and I just don't enjoy the particular game anymore. Like, it's just a game to me, but also don't want to go AFK. In a situation where we are a few minutes from losing anyway, getting farmed under tower over and over again, or full lanes are pretty hard behind, I'd rather FF and start an ARM for the evening. This is like probably the most accurate argumentation, which is you're talking about time save. Yeah, there are points where the game is like 99 point something % gone. It's inevitable you're gonna lose in another minute or two, or like enemies just killed a couple of your teammates and got the Baron and they're steamrolling, right? Like, you can save a minute of like them barraging down your door, breaking down the Nexus, so you can have a little bit more time. And this is just a personal preference. I think even locking people in for these extra 40 seconds or such is not even a bad trade-off if you completely remove the FF to make the game overall quality a lot better and a lot healthier. So like, if you wanted to choose one of the two absolutes, with FF early being prevalent and existent versus FF never existing, I would opt in for the latter, even though knowing that there are some cases where you could save 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 1 minute, right? Just because of the ratio of the type A versus type B mistake. This is the best example ever of statistic versus anecdotal experience. It's funny how often I run into this line in the last years, in broader society as well, how there seems to be like a subset of population that just doesn't comprehend statistics, large numbers and probabilities, and it really makes things very, very awkward for like conversations with people, because you can almost never seem to find common ground, because some people just don't understand, like, well, what is like anecdotal, like, well, I've seen this happen, like, I've had 7 losses in a row, and that's like impossible to happen. How can this happen? You know, it's really, really wild. I made a post officially now announcing, they allowed me to share this with the audience. I will be interviewing Rioters on 11th, this Tuesday, 5 p.m. CST. Okay, this is gonna be with Frogzone, Drew Levin, and I think, but this is not confirmed, they're pairing me up with Nemesis to cross-interview these wonderful Rioters. So this is gonna be a very, very interesting chance. I do believe it's gonna last about 1 hour, so I have quite a big list of things that I want to talk about. It will primarily be about the matchmaking and game design, like the general direction of the game, but they said they're fine with going more broad. So I made this post to summon up your input, because I want to do a good job as this ambassador of the community and try to transfer all, like, obviously like 90% of comments are absolute nonsense, like people saying like, oh, can you please why they blocked, right? Like this nonsense, or people are packaging in questions in such a way like, why is Riot Games so stupid and they don't care about community and they don't implement exactly what I've said like all the time? You know, A lot of questions are like that. I truly do hope. Put in all of the interesting, whatever you think it's interesting, whatever's on the mind of community, put these into questions, and I'll do my best as a League of community ambassador to sort of like transfer this and grill them. I will not let them get off easy. I'll grill them even about the losers queue, okay? I'll make the best Steelman arguments for the loser queue. I'll try to do you proud, so please leave the questions that you have down below. If you enjoyed that video, watch this next. Also, majority of our content comes from our direct live streams, which happen almost daily, so consider joining those and being part of the community live. Appreciate all of your support.